My name is Alex. I'm 28 years old now. But for most of my life, I didn't feel like someone's brother. I felt like someone's backup plan. When I was 14, my mother left. She didn't say goodbye. No fight, no warning, no letter. Just a missing person with a fully packed suitcase and a bedroom drawer emptied of everything personal. I remember opening it that night, half expecting to see a note or photo or explanation. There was nothing. Just dust and silence. My dad was never really built for parenting. He worked long hours, came home tired, and dealt with his problems by pretending they didn't exist. So when I came home from school one day and found him passed out on the couch with empty bottles nearby and my 4-year-old sister Casey sitting alone on the kitchen floor eating dry cereal, something changed in me. I was 14. I wasn't ready to raise anyone. But I did. From that day on, I packed her lunches. I walked her to daycare. I taught her how to tie her shoes, how to spell her name, how to look both ways before crossing the street. When she cried at night asking where mom went, I held her until she fell asleep, most nights in my arms, because she refused to go back to her room alone. And when our dad forgot her birthday, I bought a cupcake from the gas station, stuck a match in it, and sang to her like it was the best day of the year. She smiled anyway. That's the kind of kid she was. The years blurred. I learned how to stretch a can of ravioli into 2 meals. I learned how to lie to school counselors so CPS wouldn't knock on our door. I learned how to fake our dad's signature on permission slips. By the time I was 17, I had a part-time job, a drawer full of report cards I barely looked at, and a little girl who depended on me more than anyone else in the world. I didn't resent her. Not once. But I started to forget what my own life was supposed to look like. Everything became about her. Because someone had to care and no one else did. People think sacrifice is some grand gesture. But real sacrifice is quiet. It's saying no to the college you got into because you can't leave your sister behind. It's watching your friends move out while you stay and make sure someone brushes their teeth before bed. It's working the overnight shift and still making it to her parent-teacher conference at 8 a.m. the next morning with 2 hours of sleep and a borrowed dress shirt. There was one night I remember more than most. Casey was 8. She had been invited to a birthday party at one of those trampoline places. Our dad didn't remember to sign the form. He was passed out again. I drove there myself, forged the paperwork, sat in the car for 3 hours with an empty stomach because I didn't have enough money to eat and still cover her gift. She came out beaming, holding a glittery bag and a balloon animal. "Did you see me jump?" she asked. "I was flying." I smiled. "Yeah, you were." She never knew. She still doesn't. And I never wanted her to. That was the Casey turned 17 last year. I was 27. Still in the same house. Still managing bills, meals, appointments, homework. Our dad had gotten worse over the years, less present, more bitter. But I stopped waiting for him to change. I just focused on Casey. She was smart, funny, the kind of girl who always checked on her friends, who left sticky notes around the house saying, "You're doing great," when I had a rough week. Then she met Brian. He was 2 years older, worked at a local car shop, and had a smile that felt just a little too rehearsed. But she liked him. That was enough for me at first. I gave him a chance, talked to him, welcomed him in. I even gave him rides when his car broke down. But something didn't sit right. He had opinions about everything, especially about Casey and me. "You don't think she's a little too close to you?" he asked once, laughing. "Like, you're not her dad, man." That was the first time I felt my hands shake in years. It happened fast. One night, I came home from work and my key didn't fit. I thought I grabbed the wrong one. I called Casey. No answer. I knocked. Nothing. Finally, she opened the door with a blank look on her face. "Hey," I said, trying to smile. "Something's wrong with the lock." She didn't look at me, just said, "I changed them." I blinked. "Why?" She hesitated. "Brian said it's time we had boundaries. You can't keep living here forever." I'm an adult now. My heart didn't break. It caved in. "You're serious?" She nodded. I need space. And I don't want you controlling everything anymore." I stared at her, at the girl I fed, bathed, taught, protected for 10 years. "I've never controlled you," I whispered. "I gave you everything I had." And she said, "I didn't ask you to." That was the last time I stepped into that house. 3 days later, I found a box on my porch. My name scribbled across the top in her handwriting. Inside, a hoodie I used to let her wear when she was scared, a few old drawings she made in second grade, a framed photo of us from a school talent show where she dressed like a sunflower. No note, no message, just a box full of things that meant everything once. And now felt like props in a story someone else was trying to forget. I sat on the floor with that box for 2 hours. Not crying, not angry, just stunned. Like someone had hit mute on a decade of my life. I didn't message her. I didn't knock. I didn't chase. For the first time since I was 14, I didn't move for her. The messages started coming in soon after. My uncle texted, "What did you do to upset Casey?" An old friend from high school messaged, "Heard you're crashing at your buddy's place. You okay?" Even one of Casey's friends DM'd me. She said you've always been overbearing. That it was time she stood up for herself. I didn't respond to any of them, because I knew what this was. People love a simple story. The overprotective brother, the independent sister, the charming boyfriend who helped her see things clearly. But no one asked about the nights I sat outside her bedroom door because she was too scared to sleep alone. No one asked who taught her how to ride a bike or who stayed up editing her college essays when she doubted she was smart enough. They didn't ask because they didn't want to know. People prefer the version of the story where you're the problem. It makes it easier to justify your absence. About 2 weeks after I moved out, I got a call from our dad. I almost didn't pick up, but something told me to. His voice was slow, slurred. I could hear a TV in the background. "She's not doing good," he said. I sat down. "What do you mean?" "She's crying. A lot. Locking herself in her room. Fighting with the guy. Brian." He kept talking, barely coherent. "She said you hate her. That you never really wanted her to grow up." I bit down hard on my tongue. "You know that's not true," I said. He coughed. "You were the only parent she ever had." I should have said that a long time ago. That hit harder than I expected. He didn't ask me to fix it. He just hung up. I stared at the ceiling for a while, thinking. Even the man who abandoned us knew I was the one who stepped in. So why didn't she? Came a month later. I hadn't spoken to her at all. Then my phone buzzed while I was at work. It was a photo. Her smiling with Brian on some weekend trip. Under it, one line. "Just wanted you to know I'm doing fine. No, how are you? No, I miss you." Just that. I stared at it for a full minute, then locked my phone. I didn't reply, because I finally understood. She wasn't sending that to check in. She was sending it to prove something. To tell me I'm okay without you. The sad part was I wasn't trying to make her need me. I just thought maybe after everything, I'd matter even a little. The breaking point didn't come from her. It came from someone I didn't expect. Elise, her best friend since 7th grade. She found me at the grocery store of all places. I was grabbing cheap pasta, living paycheck to paycheck after losing my stability. "Elise?" I asked, stunned. She looked nervous, then sad. "I didn't want to say anything," she said. "But you should know. Casey didn't want to kick you out." I froze. She said she felt trapped, like Brian was watching everything, pressuring her, telling her you were holding her back. I swallowed hard. She told me she didn't want to lose you, but she also didn't want to lose him, and he made her choose. I leaned against the freezer door, suddenly cold inside. "She picked wrong," I whispered. Elise nodded. "I think she knows that now." I didn't say anything, because what do you say when someone chooses the person they met 6 months ago over the one who raised them? Her 18th birthday came in July. She didn't invite me. I saw the photos on Instagram. A backyard setup. Gold balloons. A cake with her name. Brian standing behind her with his arms around her waist. Our dad was there, somehow, holding a drink and pretending he still mattered. I wasn't in a single picture. No mention. No tag. No thanks to my brother. Just erased. And the part that hurt most? That cake was from the same bakery I used to take her to every year. She didn't know I used to save for weeks just to afford it. Didn't know I used to call ahead and ask them to write something silly on it, like, "To the best space explorer" or "Level 9. Unlocked." This year it just said, 18 and free. Free from what? Me? 3 days later, she texted me. Just one sentence. Are you ever going to talk to me again? I sat with it for a while. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because I didn't know if it was worth saying anymore. Still, I answered. You threw me away like I was holding you back. Not once. Not by accident, but by choice. She didn't reply right away. 6 hours later, she sent this. You were never my dad, Alex. I needed a brother, not a second parent. And that's when I knew. She didn't get it. She never would. I wasn't trying to replace our dad. I was just trying to keep her safe. And now, I was the villain in the story she told herself to sleep better at night. I wasn't looking for it. Found me. One of his co-workers posted a TikTok about toxic family dynamics. It was dumb. But in the comments, someone mentioned Brian's name. I clicked. Went down the rabbit hole. Eventually, I landed on a clip, him drinking at a party, laughing with someone while the camera rolled. You couldn't see who was recording, but you could hear him clearly. Her brother? Guy's a total control freak. He raised her like she was his daughter. Creepy as hell. Probably couldn't get his own life going, so he lived through hers. Everyone laughed. My jaw clenched. That wasn't just disrespect. That was erasure. He turned 10 years of sacrifice into something twisted, and no one in that room corrected him. Not even Casey, because she was there off-screen. You could hear her voice. Laughing too. Weeks passed. Then she messaged again. Brian and I are moving out. Got a new place. Can you help us with the deposit? I stared at the screen. Did she really just ask that? After locking me out? After rewriting our history? After letting him humiliate me publicly? I responded with just 4 words. Ask your real family. She sent back a paragraph. Guilt? Nostalgia. The works. I thought you said we were family no matter what. You always said you'd be there. I replied. I was there. Every time. Until you made it clear I wasn't welcome anymore. She didn't answer again. I guess that made it official. I wasn't her brother. I was just a wallet with memories. I ran into our dad by accident. Gas station. He was buying cigarettes. Looked worse than usual. Hollow eyes. Shaky hands. We didn't say much. He looked at me and said, she used you. Just like I used you. That stopped me cold. He didn't say it like an apology. Just a fact. Like he was observing weather. I didn't step up because I knew you would. She didn't step back because she knew you wouldn't let her fall. We all leaned on you. I said nothing. He left before I could. And when I got back into my car, I realized he was right. They all had their chance to grow. I was the one who stood still to hold them up. But not anymore. It came out of nowhere. An old colleague referred me. A startup in Colorado was looking for someone with logistics, budgeting, crisis handling. Basically everything I'd done for 10 years but never got credit for. The pay was great. The team was small. And best of all, they offered housing support for relocation. I stared at the offer letter for 2 days. Not because I was unsure about the job, but because I knew once I left the city, there'd be no reason for her to ever look back. But then again, she hadn't looked back in months. I signed it. Before leaving town, I passed by our old place, the house where I raised her. The porch still creaked. The front garden was overgrown. The wind chimes we hung up together were still there, though one was cracked. I didn't knock. I didn't even park. I just sat across the street in my car and stared. Remembered the way she used to run to the window when I got home from work. How she used to wave like I was returning from war. It hit me hard that the girl I raised was gone. Not physically, but emotionally. And maybe I needed to let go of her too. Not the real her, but the version I kept alive in my memory. The little sister who made me believe sacrifice had meaning. She died the day I became disposable. I didn't want to ghost her. Even if she didn't deserve a goodbye, I needed closure. So I texted her the night before my flight. Moving to Colorado. Got a new job. I won't be around anymore. I hope life gives you what you're looking for. No guilt. No plea. Just truth. She didn't reply that night. Or the next day. Or the week after. And weirdly, I wasn't crushed. I felt lighter. Because when you stop expecting someone to care, their silence stops hurting. I miss you. 2 words. No context. No apology. Just a memory reaching for attention. I waited a full day. Then I wrote, you don't miss me. You miss the version of me that let you treat me however you wanted. She sent one more text. I didn't know how much you did until you were gone. And I didn't respond. Because the truth is when someone needs to lose you to see your worth, they never deserved you in the first place. It had been almost 6 months since I moved. I was settling in. New job, new routines, and for the first time in forever, no texts from anyone who drained me. Then one Monday morning, just after a team meeting ended, I walked back to my desk and saw her. Casey. In the lobby. Holding a duffel bag. Looking smaller than I remembered. Our receptionist waved me over. She says she's your sister. I nodded slowly and approached. She looked up and half smiled. Hey, she said. I blinked. What are you doing here? I left him, she said. Not even using Brian's name. I didn't know where else to go. I waited. No reaction. No welcome. She added, I took a bus. Been riding all night. I asked, why come to me? She hesitated. Because I knew you wouldn't let me be homeless. That hit different. Not because it was wrong, but because it was right. I didn't take her home. I took her to a diner. Bought her breakfast. Sat across from her as she ate in silence. Finally, I said, you can stay in town. I'll cover a motel for 3 nights. After that, you're on your own. She looked up stunned. That's it? I nodded. I'm not your backup plan anymore. I'm not your free ride. I'm not the brother you only remember when it's convenient. She blinked hard. I'm trying to fix things. I sipped my coffee. You're trying to escape the consequences of who you've become. It wasn't anger. It was just the truth. She cried quietly, but I didn't reach across the table. Because this time she needed to sit with the discomfort, the same way I had for years. On the 3rd night, she texted me. Can you help me find a place to stay longer term? I stared at it. Not angry. Just tired. I replied, apply for a job. Use the same energy you spent cutting me off. No response. The next morning, I checked the motel balance. She hadn't checked out yet. I called the front desk and paid for 1 more night. A goodbye gift. Not for her. For me. Because I didn't want guilt to be the last thing tying us together. She didn't message me again. I assume she left town. Maybe stayed with a friend. Maybe went back to Brian. I don't know. And honestly, I don't want to. Not because I don't care, but because I finally care more about me. I spent a decade proving I was reliable. But no one ever asked what I needed. Not once. So now, I give my time only to people who ask, not just take. That includes family. Especially family. I used to believe that love was about giving until it hurt. But I've learned real love has boundaries. It doesn't ask you to bleed so someone else can feel whole. It doesn't demand silence in the face of betrayal. And it doesn't forget everything you did just because it's easier to rewrite the story. If you're listening to this and you've ever been made to feel disposable by someone you would have burned for, please know this, you didn't fail them. They failed to see you. And it's not your job to make them open their eyes. It's your job to walk away with your worth intact. A few weeks after she left, I wrote a letter. Not for mailing. Just for me. I wrote, you were never a burden. But the silence you gave me after everything I did, that was. I didn't want thanks. I didn't raise you for credit. But I did think I meant more than nothing. When you laughed while he mocked me, you weren't protecting your independence. You were burning the bridge I built to keep you alive. If you ever wonder why I stopped answering, it's because I finally realized I was never your brother. I was your safety net. And once you learned to walk, you pretended I didn't catch you every time you fell. I never printed it, never sent it, but it said everything I needed. And that was enough. It's been a year now. No new texts, no new visits, just quiet. Sometimes I wonder if she thinks about me. Maybe she tells people a different version of the story. Maybe in her version, I'm bitter, controlling, the villain. But I don't correct it, because I've learned something important. When someone lies about you to feel better about what they did, let them. That's the only peace they'll ever get. And it costs you nothing. It would be easy to say I hate her. But I don't. I miss the girl I raised. The kid who used to fall asleep on my chest. The teenager who once texted me, you're my favorite person. But the woman she became? I don't know her. And I've stopped grieving someone who's still alive. That's a different kind of pain. But it's real. And it taught me how to let go. I still live in Colorado. I still work with good people who see me for what I bring, not what I can sacrifice. I go for walks. I read books. I say no without guilt now. No to people who only show up when they need something. No to family who confuses blood with entitlement. And no to the version of me who thought love meant carrying it all alone. I'm not that version anymore. And I'm better for it. If you've ever raised someone who forgot you, if you've ever been cut out by the person you protected most, if you've ever been made to feel like the villain in the story you built from love, this is for you. You weren't wrong to give. You weren't stupid to care. But now it's your turn. To breathe. To live. To choose peace. To stop answering calls from people who only dial when they're falling. Sometimes love means staying. Sometimes it means walking away. But the hardest lesson? Sometimes it means not going back.